Alright guys, so today we're going to start putting the Polaris brand upper doors on the XP4. So far all I've gotten done is got a T40, 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 T40 Torx. Then you got to pop these little caps off, which are right here. Just cover up the hinge holes. Pop those off, and then you got some T20s behind there. T20, 20, 20. Pop those off, take the inner door skin off, and then we can start laying out the door brackets. Okay, so far we have the inner door skin off. We got everything kind of unboxed here. Obviously everybody does their thing their own way, but this is what I like to do, is just lay everything out. So everything is kind of, you can see what you have. There's all the inner skins, plastic corner pieces. Everything has part numbers on it. Obviously, you can see lefts and rights have different part numbers. Maybe you can see that. Have different part numbers. The stuff that's exactly the same has no part numbers. So I'm going to read the instructions because there's actually quite a bit of stuff here. It looks easy enough, so I'm just going to start putting her together. All right, guys, quick observation. So when I did my spike upper doors, I had to do some tweaking and bending, and I'm pretty sure I got about as best they're going to get. But these front brackets here, call out that they're the same part number. But if you look at this, I don't know how to get in a light. So this bracket's flat, the actual steel part. But look how the tube, the actual round tube where the door frame slides into, look how it's welded. It's obviously crooked. I saw one video from a different guy that had put these on, and the bracket itself was bent in or out, depending on which side it would have to go on. So this one, I'm going to guess, is left. This is the same bracket, welded out. So even in the instructions, I don't see anything that calls out left and right, but these brackets are obviously left and right. On the bag, the part number is the same even. I hope the camera's picking that up, but it's definitely purposely welded so that it would tip out, or tip in, I guess technically is what it'll be in this situation, but tip in the top of the door. Okay, so right here's the blurb about it. Ensure proper orientation. Top of tube must be angled inward as shown. It's not super easy to see, but you can obviously see that H is that straight bracket, and the tube is crooked, pointed inward towards the cab. So it does actually call it out. I didn't think it did, but I'm kind of to that point. So just so everybody knows, keep an eye on it. Like I said, it's the same part number, but it does have to actually be tipped. I don't know how good that's going to pick that up, but it actually has to be picked. It has to be tipped that way towards the inside of the cab. All right, so here's what we got going on now. Got my templates cut out on the back side of your directions, cut them out. Kind of tells you where everything needs to go. These are the first three that you're supposed to do. It says in the instructions, the inboard lip should line up with the inboard of the template. So you get these little bend lines. I would assume this is what they mean by the inboard of the, I forget the actual verbiage they used. Let's take a peek here. Ensure inboard edge of template is aligned with inboard edge of offset lip. So I'm hoping that's correct. We'll find out here real shortly. All right, guys. So you know I'm picky. I've been at this for quite a while, fitting this front door. The fit on the door is better, I think, than what the aftermarkets are. I've bent and tweaked and moved, and I got a few more things to try and to do. So right here is pretty close. Obviously, I don't have the back doors on it yet, but it looks, you know, it fits pretty decent here. I mean, we got some gap. First thing I did is pulled in the striker, move this inboard so that it touches here tighter. fix this up so this door gap is actually pretty nice. What I found is that the insulation goes out. I think once this bottom insulation here settles, this here is actually an insulation strip. It seals up pretty darn good. Obviously they've been sitting in boxes, so I think once it's been sitting on here for a little bit, you're gonna notice there's just the tiny, and you can't even see it from this side, but there's the tiniest of gaps right there. And again, I'm being picky, but I think once that insulation settles, you're gonna see that go away. I did have to bend a little here on the frame to make it mate here nice, and then bend here on the frame a little bit to make it mate nice up here. So I gotta work on like this section of it to get it to fit a little bit better. I think possibly adjusting the hinges is gonna be the ticket on that. I did run into a little bit of an issue with these corner pieces. So these corner pieces that fit in here, like so, to seal up the rest of that front corner, are great, other than we went to a different kind of lock and ride window. So this one snaps, just pull it over, it snaps off like that, versus the old style was you turned like a quarter turn and it locked over. This is by far a better style. Couple things about it. It feels to be heavier. It definitely seals better. And I ordered blocks for mine. You sit blocks in here. I had rubber in it for a while, and I ordered some blocks from Derek Goetz, who does some 3D screen print or 3D printing. And that worked on mine. Now this just has a metal piece so that this thing can't move. But I think the way it hooks on the roll cage, it's not gonna move anymore anyway. The other thing that's nice is instead of having that kind of square where it comes down like this, like mine, my two-seater is, this one's rounded. So I'm hoping that the pattern for the escape wiper is exactly the same, and now you'll be able to run either it's stock with a 17-inch wiper or possibly even an 18. I forget what mine's a 17, and it covers the whole window. But I had to drill out a rivet on the arm and slide the arm out and then put a shorter wiper on it so it'd miss more of this. So I think that's gonna be pretty nice. But now that has the issue of this corner piece. So I'll talk to my dealer on Monday, see if there's a revision for this, for these doors, if this is an older revision or something. If not, I may have to just notch that plastic to go around the actual clamp. Not a big deal either way. But so far, it's looking pretty good. I really like the way that these fit. This plastic, super clear. Obviously, once you roll it down and stuff, it's gonna be a different story, but most of the other aftermarket doors come rolled up, and they just never seem to, you never seem to get like that real clear look. These actually say best top on them, like the Jeep manufacturer. So I think it's gonna be just a better product, or a better quality product, I guess. The other thing is, I haven't done it yet, but this loop here, kind of like the seizmiks, you put Velcro on your roll cage here. So when you're going a little bit faster, you can pull this thing over and latch it so that the door doesn't buffer out when you're going. Like mine, if you're going over 50, the door will start to kind of open up just a little bit at the top and lets the heat out, and it sucks the heat out. So I think that's gonna be nice. Otherwise, they're easy to install. As far as that goes, directions, not too bad. I've done them before if it was your first time. No, they're not super great. But I think they're gonna be, I think I'm gonna like these better than what I have now. So we'll get the backs on and the little triangle pieces on the back here, and we'll see what one whole side looks like. We'll see how they seal up. And then we'll finish enclosing this thing in and do some videos on the Polaris heater versus the Inferno's heater, and then Polaris upper doors versus the Spike upper doors I have in my two-seater, and then seismiks, I've already done one versus Spike on. So just kind of give everybody an idea of the different things that seemed to be working better or not working better. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. You got your tension strap, pull it in. You put the Velcro right on there. Now when you're going faster than whatever you're towing it, you can reach in and lock it up. And then get out, give her a rip. All right, guys. So the front one's on. We're gonna start putting the back together. Get the rear piece that goes in this area here, and the actual back door upper. And then we'll see what we gotta adjust with the front, if anything. I figured we might as well start putting this one together and get all the back of it done, and then we'll make sure that the front one closes, the back one opens, there's no interference there. So 40 Torx, there's 7 of them. Pull them out, take the inner panel off, and we'll get started putting the brackets on. All right, guys, the front and back is on. Obviously, got some trim work and such to do yet, but gaps are pretty darn good. The back fits really nice, actually. So one thing that I did find in doing this, obviously, the first shot at it, I had to grab the door, give it a little bend to make this side fit nice and tight. Now the top's really good and tight here. Once we push these down, that looks really good. There's not much of anything there. What I did find is that I heard some guys that had issues basically between the front and the back doors. If you pull this Velcro loose and just pull it tight over, that'll kind of suck this part of the door in. Now you got nice tight seal here, tight seal on top. So next will be this little quarter window, I guess we call it. And we'll see how that goes. And then I'll hopefully be able to start trimming off the excess insulation, or whatever we want to call this, I guess. And putting it all, making sure everything lines up good and checking door gaps and such. The striker on this is not really adjustable in and out on the back doors, just up and down. So I think you could probably get it even tighter if you could adjust that part of it. I don't think this has any adjustment. No. But we'll make it work. Unless they're adjustable here. No, that's all welded on. So we'll make it work. It looks like they're going to line up pretty decent, actually, though. So we'll get the back one done and then see how everything looks together. Like I said, we'll trim off all the excess and make that look nice and clean. And then onto the other side. All right, guys. I think I'm just about done struggling here. It's coming out pretty good. I guess I'm just too damn picky for soft panels and how these things fit. I'm a Jeep guy, I'm an off-road guy. I don't mind getting dirty, dusty, cold, whatever. But, man, you really gotta mess with these things a lot to make them subpar. Again, just like my other spikes, they should keep the water mostly off you. They should keep the cold mostly off you. They'll even lock out some dust and snow and whatever else. I guess at the end of the day, that's really what they're for. Again, I'm pretty darn picky. I gotta figure out this corner piece. They changed the windshield, so. But they look pretty good. The doors close good. Very, very minimal gaps. None at the bottoms at all. Couple little things at the top, but I think they're only just going to get so good. I think all the lines come out pretty good. They look really nice. They're super clear from the inside. There's not hardly any distortion from the plastic windows. So I think we're going to leave well enough alone, at least for tonight. I got the other side to do. Once I get the other doors on, the other uppers, put the back window and plate and stuff in, and then I'll take it outside and kind of ride around and feel for drafts and plug up some of that kind of stuff that I know is going to be here and there. Again, we know they're not going to be 100% perfect, but got to make it the best you can, right? So all in all, I guess I'd say they're as good as any soft door could be. I think they're probably the best on the market. Obviously, they're the most expensive on the market. I mean, they say Polaris on the box, so. All right, guys, so here's the corner pieces in. So I put the shadowing there. So what you got to do, this is a new kind of ride, lock and ride. So instead of having the quarter turns like my 2020 does, this actually just snaps over, which I kind of showed you before. But so what you got to do is you actually got to cut a little notch. Just use a utility knife. You could use a Dremel, I guess, but it's so much cleaner. Score it a little bit, and then it goes right through, so that you can get those corner pieces in. Doing the same thing to the other side. And then I'm gonna finish putting the doors on this side, and I'll have all the doors about whipped. So it's looking pretty good. A little time consuming. Like I said, you got a lot of adjustment and tinkering here and there if you're picky, but I think it's gonna be worthwhile. All right, guys, so I'm finally happy with the doors, happy as I'm gonna be. A lot of poking, prodding, playing. Finally, what I ended up doing as far as the installation wise is instead of cutting these right off, I guess what everybody does is cut them off. I actually took some super glue that's like a gel, and I just glued it on the inside. I mean, why not have this extra piece of insulation here sealing it? Same thing with these edges. These edges wanted to kind of fold back when you closed it, and it would change every time. It was driving me nuts. So I did the same thing here because it's only sewed to like right here. So this edge would peel up, or it would hit this edge and fold back. Really noticeable on the back doors. This top edge right here. You close the door and it wants to roll like back to here. So then you got this, 2 or 3 finger gap that you can see air through. Again, maybe I'm being picky, but I did that gel super glue there and did the same thing right there. So now when you close the doors up, everything's sealed up, nice and tight. Nothing's rolling back. Did some insulating behind the seats. Sound deadener. Doors shut nice and tight. They look good. We took her for a rip the other night. It was like 8-10 degrees. Pretty cold out, pretty windy. Me and the 4 boys. And she's pretty warm in the cab. Like I said, I wanted to get a few things more sealed up. And now it's about doing some more sound deadener insulation in the cab. Once I get my bumpers and winch and all that stuff, so I'm gonna basically run all my wiring through that center console on the bottom. Then I'm gonna insulate all that on the inside. Because basically it goes straight through. All of this stuff, you pull these cup holders out, you can see the ground through the skid plate. Which I'm changing out the skid plate, but you're still gonna have cold air blowing up through there from the front. So I think that's about it for the doors. We got a lot more stuff to do, but she's sealed up and warm now.